SVG. Like, comment, and share now.
Good morning, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Good morning to the rest of the world. All right, so yes, please. So if you could just ease forward a little bit. All right, that's good. That's wonderful. All right, so at this time we're joined by Mr. Elvis. Elvis, good morning and welcome to the Wake Up Call.
Yes, good morning, Crystal, and good morning to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Good morning to people in the diaspora.
All right, how are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm not doing that bad today.
Okay, wonderful. Now, if you could just twist it to me just a little bit. Not you, hold on. All right, just kind of work. Okay, that's great. All right, for the sake of the people who are looking on from the internet. By the way, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So you can view live right now. Now, Elvis does not have the ability to see. Right? So we're going to talk about life. Your life. Could you take us back to when did this all start? How did it happen?
All right. Well, for the people in the diaspora who don't know me and for the persons who might know me, because I'm sure that there are some people who might well familiar with me. But like I said before, my name is Elvis Wynn. I was born in the Kingston area. I'm living in the Lava Heights area. For where sight is concerned, I know when I was born, I probably had some problem with cataract and them different type of things. But I was seeing up until I reached about 12. And then it started getting worse, but I lose it probably when I get into an accident playing with a nephew of mine and try to duck under a bed from him and bust the baby of the right eye. And from there, it went downhill. So the sight eventually disappeared completely. And that was it.
So from age 12, you've not had the ability to see.
That's right.
Anything at all.
Yeah, some people would have thought that I would have born so, but I didn't born, so I was seeing up until the time.
Okay. So which means that you would have been in school at some point?
No, I never had the ability the chance to go to school.
That was because of
physical sight. I never get a chance to go to school.
Would you mind telling us your age now?
I am 55 right now.
So 55 minus 12. What year was that when you were 12 years old, if you don't mind?
That was a little bit. I born 1966. So you would do a little calculation.
So 1978.
Right.
So is it that there was no school for you at that time, or is it that it was something that could not be afforded?
I think what happened, the parents couldn't afford at the time to assist me. And knowing that I had a sight problem, my mother probably didn't want to go down that road to fight to try to get me into school. Because at that time, we used to have some difficulties with people like me. People in society used to kind of discriminate, so to say, against people like we know. So when you have a child and he loses physical sight or she can't see well, you tend to lock them away a little bit and don't want them to get in the public domain. Right? So that was one of the reasons.
Okay. So how was life? What was life? Okay. So we can start with your teenage years and going up to like age 20. What was life like not being able to see, knowing that you could not go to school while probably your other relatives and friends were able to do that? Explain that experience.
All right. Well, I was home all the time, doing nothing. But there was a time when they have the Society for the Blind where they used to do craft. And there was a lady who was living above my mother. She see me and wanted to know, well, why I'm home. I was already in my teenage. So the sight, whatever gone from that time. So she see me and wanted to know why I am home and not into some learning institution.
Mhm.
And she would have made the way for me to go to the workshop for the blind, where I learn to do some craft, learn a bit of music and so forth. And there I was up until 2001 when I left.
2001 is when you left that institution.
Yeah.
Which is just the other day. 2001 to 21 years ago. How have I have so many questions. All the questions are like rolling over right now. How have you been like making it to move around, like in the home, move around in the general public? Simple things as like eating and taking care of yourself.
Well, I've known to take care of myself for years. You know, peculiar enough, my mother threw me out of the house when I was 16 years old. I could say that because she's not alive, so I wouldn't say it otherwise.
So you wouldn't get licks?
You're right. She threw me out of the house when I was 16 years old. And that was a struggle from that day on. I had to wash my own clothes, cook my own food, do everything for myself. Until later on, when I started to get involved in knowing ladies and want to talk to them, so some of them would have assisted me along the way doing different things. I depend on people to take me here and there everywhere I want to go. I depend on people. I would go nowhere without somebody who I know and somebody who know me.
Has it been easy to trust people?
It is not easy. Even up until this time, I am finding it difficult dealing with people to people. It's hard because you don't know. Somebody may come around you and you tend, but somewhere along the line you have to trust people, but it's not an easy thing. Being a blind person and trusting people is very difficult. So you have to know the person, and the person have to know you. You have to be interacting with them daily. You have to know them. You have to, just live. There's something you have to get, and you have to try to make the trust break down in any way, because if you do that, then you could be in trouble as well.
It seems like you've had to you've had to take a lot of caution,
right,
with getting your things done.
Yes.
In terms of like dealing with institutions, for example, if you have to go to the bank, or let's say you have to go to like NIS, right? How do you manage dealing with that?
I have to choose somebody who I will depend on. And I will choose somebody who I will depend on. Even though like people is not perfect, and people, you still have to find somebody who you will depend on, and you could go with them and get your transactions done. I never had a problem going into a banking institution or anywhere and have a difficulty with somebody unfair in me. I was fortunate to be like that.
Oh, that's good. So you've never had an issue where money went missing,
right?
Anybody stole from you,
right?
Wow. This is rather interesting. If you're just joining us, by the way, it's 9 o'clock. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Elvis. Elvis is blind. He's 55 years old. So we're trying to get a bit of knowledge on how he has been making it. And he has been blind since the age of 12. So that's a significant portion of his life there. Could we talk money for a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned that growing up in your youth, people generally had a different perception of persons with disabilities. In your case, it's not the ability to not see, right? Working, jobs, getting money. How were you able to sustain yourself, to pay your bills? I mean, I know you would have had light, water, food.
That is a very peculiar thing, because of the fact that I had not been able to go around people much to know what they're doing, see what they're doing. I was basically condemned, I will say, in terms of getting jobs. When my mother threw me out of the house when I was 16, I started to talk about building house. Now, I don't have no job, I don't have no money, but I'm talking about building house.
For yourself, not for other people, for yourself.
For myself.
Okay.
And I always talk about building a house at a particular size, and didn't know how to go about getting any kind of income to do it. So I went to a gentleman one time and I asked him how much he would send me a wheelbarrow stone for, and he told me $2.50 as is me. But here am I now. I don't know where I going to get even 50 cents from, but to pay he $2.50. And he was ponging stone in the road. And I thought, well, maybe I should try it. And I started to go into the river and take out the stones and left them to drain off, drove them up in the road and pong them myself. I didn't know how to do it. I was using a carpenter hammer to pong stones. And then when I get into the art of it, I then get somebody to give me a hammer where they usually pong stones, where I become a professional ponging the stones. And then I begin to sell them to get an income. And then from there, that was it until I move up to Harbour Heights, because the different villages down in the Montrose area, it was easy for me to get into the river and get the stones. But moving into the Harbour Heights area, it became difficult because that is a different village and the river in a different mode. And then you start doing different things. After that, I get into running a shop, because it was the easiest thing out. I get into running a shop where I run for a little while. Had some struggles with it because don't having the right person around to help you do your transactions, you have some difficulties. And then in the 2018, 2019, when things start to pick up and doing well, is when the COVID come and just cause a problem.
I'm still stuck on the ability to. Okay, so you go to the river, you collect stones, and then you bring them back, and you pong these stones with a hammer.
Yeah.
And then you sell them. Weren't you afraid of hurting yourself at any point?
You know, I've always had this feeling that pressure make me do things, and if I have to do it, I will take the risk, because sometimes I always have problem with people doing things for me. People always think somewhere along the line that I'm playing a tricks on them, so I have to prove myself in order to get people to do things for me sometimes. So then I can't wait, and the system ain't provide no sort of a thing for me, so I have to do something for myself. It would have been difficult. I had to take the risk. One of the strangest thing about it is that you need the sight to see the stone you're ponging for sure. Because if you miss, you hit. But I was able to do it for so much years without damaging my finger or anything. That is something that people just can't understand up until today.
No. No. Even as you are explaining it to me and telling me, I am not able to just... Because in my mind, okay, first of all, to collect the stones, you should be able to see them.
Yeah, because...
make sure that you're not picking up a frog or something or a fish.
You see, the river, I grew up in that area. And it was easy for me to get to the river because the only place we could go and bathe and wash and them type of thing. So I learned the road. I had to do it myself. I learned the road. And in learning the road, I'll get up in the morning, 4, 5, 3 o'clock and go into the river because I don't want a disturbance. So I go into the river and I take up the stones, put them to drain off and take them up in the road when the sun get up hot and pong them in the evening. And it is something that people up until today believe that I played tricks on them with, because they can't believe how I could be doing it. And the thing about it, I had to sledge them. Because I had to sledge them to get them to the size I want. The thing, and all of these things is to say that we have skills and talent in St. Vincent that is not touched. And people believe that you have a disability, you can't do anything. So therefore they suffer you. They don't concern about you. So
okay, so you also work in construction, right? I'm sharing some photographs on our live with you. It appears that you're digging out a foundation.
Right.
I'm still amazed. I am so amazed that is this something that you do as well on the side?
No, this is not a job. This is something for my own self.
Oh, this is your personal stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
The thing is, you don't have money to pay people. And you can't borrow money. So you have to do something for yourself with the intention that somebody may assist you. And at this particular time, I find it very difficult going to the government system for assistance. Very, very, very difficult. So I take it that if there is no job, and if the government system is very difficult to deal with, then I have to come to the general public. And ask the general public what assistance they could give.
Before we get to that, though, right? Before we get to all of that, government assistance. Have you been assisted in any way throughout your lifetime?
I started to get public assistance from about that same time when I lose my physical sight. I could remember my mother taking me to the place where they gave public assistance one time, and way back in them time. At that time, public assistance was $10. And it's through the same public assistance why I get thrown out the house anyway. So I've always been having problem with it.
I don't
And
understand. Sorry. How if you're getting assistance, how is it that led to you getting thrown out of the house?
because after a period of time, my mother control it. I knows nothing about it. My mother control it. All I know, she carry me to get it, but she's the one who in control. And because I have the knowledge of knowing that she collect this money, be it small as it is, it come a time when I wanted to do music. Because for some reason, to me, blind people tend to love music and singing, these type of things. So I wanted to learn music. And I wanted a guitar first thing. I didn't know how to get it. So a friend of mine offered to trust me one. Where you going to get the money to pay for it? I don't know, but I asked another friend to follow me to the social development place and asking them for some assistance to pay for this guitar. And the gentleman, John Brown, at the time, he said to me, he asked me my age, I tell him 16. He said to me, but you reach to age to collect your own money. And then he said to me, if I give you your own money, they're going to give you no food. And from the very first public assistance, at that time it reached $40.
Mm-hmm.
And from the very first one, I was outside the house. And it was pressure from that day on.
Oh, wow. Okay, so from since then, you have been on public assistance?
I am on public assistance from that time up until today.
How much money are you getting today?
At this time, it's $275.
Unable to see, unable to get a job, $275. Shop cannot reopen because it's COVID-19. You've had to close. How are you making it, man?
It's a daily struggle and stress. And every day, it's a daily struggle. The thing is that you have to find money to eat, drink. And I'll tell you something, right? I asked the government, I write the government and ask them to take me off of public assistance and put me to do something that I could earn a better income. And the society probably believe that because you don't have physical sight, there's nothing you could do. But if you go in the community to which I live and you do a survey, you will be shocked of the things that I could do.
What can you do?
As you see on some of the pictures, I do music. One of the funny thing about it is that somebody who is carrying on a construction site might not want me to work with them because they go say I might move a little too slow. And yes, I have to take my time because of the site. But when I finish working, you'll be amazed. And still sometimes I do walk even faster than some people who see it. As long as I'm in the area and I know the area and I learn the area, then there's nothing you could do to beat me. and these are the type of things. I think what happened to St. Vincent is that the human resources are underutilized and the talent is stifled. So maybe you might think that people need sight to do everything. They don't. The things I do, you tell me that you don't.
Mm-hmm. Give us some insight as to the other things that you do besides your work in construction, besides being able to play the guitar, going to the river to collect the stones. What else do you do?
I do plumbing.
Plumbing.
I do plumbing. I do a bit of electrician.
What?
I do electrician work too. I wouldn't go and do people's house where what electricity is concerned because people would not have that confidence that I do it. And but I does. And I do plumbing.
But doesn't when don't you have to, okay, I guess not because you said you do plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just here, I'm amazed first and foremost that you could carry out plumbing. So have you ever been hired to do somebody else's plumbing or?
Yes, well, nobody never hired me to do plumbing work, but in my area, I'll put down a face basin for somebody, I'll put down a sewage bowl, I'll hook up a washing machine, I'll fix the pipe for them. Because we live in the community, we have friends, and people don't really hire me, but if they have these problems, they call me and I go and I do them.
And they are satisfied with the work that you have done.
As a matter of fact, I have done work with people people get paid to do and do them over properly, and up to today they still walking.
Wow. Wow. You really and truly do not need your physical
You
sight.
don't need physical sight to do a lot of things. With physical sight, but it's telling me that it's either you don't need physical sight or I born with some special ability that nobody else have.
Or that, or maybe throughout the or that. Let me just leave it at or that.
Right.
All right. Maybe you're superhuman and you're now realizing it. All right?
Probably. Yeah, because the things I do, I myself sometimes just be amazed.
Do you have any other talents in there besides playing the guitar, besides plumbing and doing your own personal electrical work? Anything else that we might be amazed by?
Maybe, but these are the things that I do on a regular basis. I do a bit of carpentry too, because when I was at the blind workshop, they had a Pisco, and he teaches us to do some carpentry work. So I do some of that as well.
Carpentry.
Yeah, and people are amazed. I mean, it may be hard to explain to people how I do it, but people watch me do it.
Carpentry, you say,
Yeah, I mean, I use hammer.
As in,
I use saw. I wouldn't take the risk of using the power saw, because the power saw is one, but I use hand saw. And I use hammer, I use level. I mean, there is a particular way in which I do these things. And I use tape, but it's always a peculiar way in doing these things, right? And I do good work.
I think people would have to see to believe.
Yeah, I mean, in my, you see, if I get the assistance that I need, right? Every time I do some work, I'll send a picture so that you could put it up so the people could see, because you would see me on the side doing exactly what I say I'm doing.
Wow, this is something else. Disability is definitely not an inability. And if you're listening right now, hoping that you're taking away one or two things from this conversation here. Now, we have to take a break at this point, right?
Right.
And then we're going to come back. When we come back, I want you to talk about, or I'm going to ask you about how you've been able to cope. I noticed you didn't touch on that.
Cope, right?
To cope, as in to cope with the stress.
Oh.
Have you ever had like low moments?
Okay, we'll talk about these
like
things.
joy, the happiness,
All right.
how you've been able to emotionally make it, because it must be very difficult. Knowing that you are capable of certain things,
right,
but the rest of the society kind of looking down at you,
right,
putting you into a particular corner, a box, right? Giving you a definition, telling you what you can and can't do.
This is the point.
Right? Not being able to get the opportunity to know what you in your heart know you can do.
That's the point.
I want to know how you've been managing that.
All right.
And how you've been keeping up.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
So when we come back, Crystal, I would love you to do a challenge, a day without sight. It would be good to hear of your experience. Have you ever told anybody like you should try living a day without being able to see, like blindfold yourself for a day?
I tell people to try it every day.
To try?
Yeah, but people who see and would not want to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go and come back, all right?
All right.